the College of Marketing, the marketing department says, if you don't train for your graduation, it will not help you. So help you to ensure that you take UNISA in all these platforms so that people appreciate your accomplishments today, okay? Are we agreed? Let's contract you, okay? Otherwise, we will take that our certificate. I'm just showing. Then, colleagues, for our event, let me request you. We truly want for the events to be beautiful. We understand these are graduations. You're going to emulate, you're going to celebrate, you're going to applaud your graduates. We request that you be sensitive and attentive to our graduates so that they and their families can also hear their names and surnames being called out in the podium and to enjoy the event. But we are Africans, so ululation, Olokwani, and Nigeria are welcome. That you should know. So thank you very much. Good evening. No, you're not starting. Evening. Good evening. Evening. Thank you very much. I truly believe that we are here to celebrate a great moment. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge His Excellency President Thabo Mbeki, the Chancellor of the University of South Africa, who is participating in this graduation ceremony. Let me recognize the members of Council of the University of South Africa here in tonight. Present, we recognize Mrs. T.C.C. Mankari, Mr. G, Mr. El Mabilani, as well as Mr. Namin. Equally important is the management team of the university that are in attendance and the representatives of the colleges that are here in present or participating virtually. In this instance, I'd like to acknowledge Professor N.N. Sukuta, the Registrar of the University, Professor Mahan, the Vice Principal responsible for institutional advancement, Professor Hadise, representing the College of Human Sciences, Dr. M.T. Kawan, the Executive Dean of the College of Accounting Sciences, Dr. Lee Likubu, the Deputy Registrar responsible for governance, our esteemed recipient of the honorary degree of philosophy, honoris causa, Bishop Nomtadas Purity Malinga. I think she deserves a round of applause. Let me recognize that Bishop Nomtadas Malinga is here with family and to welcome. And colleagues, because UNISA is an international university with a footprint all over the world, over 130 countries. I'm truly appreciative for the presence of the Dean of the Faculty of Theology and the Director of African Institute of African Studies and other delegations of Yonsei University in South Korea. Can I request us to give them a round of applause for this appointment? Thank you. Dignitaries, family, friends, other members of the university community, academics, being the primary articulation of the scientific agenda of the university, administrative staff, as well as professional staff of the University of South Africa here present, representatives of various departments of government, national, provincial, local, distinguished members of the audience, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Sangonan, Ole, Reperi, Renan, Assalamu alaikum. Lajan, Junelan, Ni hao, And Professor Payne, for you in Korean, 안녕하세요. 감사합니다. Colleagues, this is a special day for me also. Not only because of the graduation, because there's a special person who's present here, and for the first time, seeing me officiating graduations. You know, when parents attend moments like this, wow, it tells that they did not make mistakes, that they supported us in our lifetimes. I'm also privileged that my mom is here. Thank you very much. And therefore I want to start by saying welcome to the University of Leaders, the University of South Africa. When we celebrate the graduations, we started on the 10th of April, 2024. And when we started on the 10th of April, 2024, we reminded ourselves that the University of South Africa had a global impact in the world, not only because of the types of students that we teach all over the world, but because the university is a magnet of science, of research, of innovation, has been at the forefront of establishing open distance education in the world. In 1873, when little was known about distance education, the post office and UNISA was an examination center. So when you think about UCT, University of the Free State, University of Fort Hare, and many others, you should remember that they are the children or offspring of UNISA. And that's very important in the history of science and university system in South Africa and in the world. I think it deserves a round of applause. I'm not asking you to maliciously comply to giving the applause, but no university in the world had thought about distance education when it started. 150 years, 47 or 48 years later, after COVID-19, almost everybody, every sector, sees the imperative of mediating distance, whether as businesses, as universities, as schools, or others. The only difference now is we're not using the post office, but we're using digital platforms through phones, tablets, laptops, and other different platforms in digital systems. And therefore we are appreciative that this university bequeathed the world this important asset that can be used to ensure that higher education is accessible, is not only for the elite in our societies, but those who have the agency, the initiative, the commitment, the resilience to pursuing education. As that which the first president of this country in the democratic dispensation referred to as an invitation to transforming our society by ensuring that a child of the minority becomes an owner of the mind, or of the power can become a president, or even an owner of business. I'm reinterpreting his words, not quoting them verbatim. I think it's important, therefore, colleagues, when you celebrate your graduation, to understand you're walking in the footsteps of iconic leaders of our country, of the continent, and the global arena. Yesterday, our doctoral graduates came from Utah, the United States of America. They came from Ghana, Accra. They came from Ethiopia. They also came from Zambia. And of course, the locals were also equally receiving their degrees. I think we deserve to acknowledge this. And colleagues, as a university, we really put emphasis on the quality of education and education as a resource to transforming first yourself, your families, your communities, your countries, the continent, and the global arena. And as such, we invest resources, financial, scientific, academic, to ensure that this university is considered amongst the best. And there are a few highlights I want to share, but they will be shared in a little bit more through the video that we're going to showcase. First, I want to state that UNISA has improved its rankings in the university system in the country. Whereas in 2020 and 2021, we started within the band of 13 to 16, we are number 8 and number 7. I think it requires. Our College of Economic Management Sciences produces some of the financial actuarial acquisition scientists in the country. The same is true to the College of Accounting that produces over 25% of chartered accountants in the country as they do auditors, forensic investigators, and others. The same is true to the College of Education. Yeah, representatives there. Our university college produces over 51% of the teachers in the public and private sector in South African schools, whether foundation, intermediate, or even children college education. We produce half of the teachers of the country. So represent us well, teach the students, help them to appreciate the successes that you aim for yourself. But it's also important, colleagues, to tell you the College of Agriculture of our university is leading in an important area that the continent requires. We are the university that holds the genetic sequencing of Africa, biotic flora and fauna, and associated materials. This university is also strong in animal genetics. I think they deserve a round of applause to be the university that is tasked to understand all the plants, the trees, even the weeds, like the weeds, you know, the weeds, the things that mess up the agriculture. They still also have to know that. And they are given that responsibility to understanding that. Our school, TM School of International Affairs, is the leading institute on international relations, diplomacy, strategic studies, or intelligence studies. So we have these trends that are quite important, but also which require us to partner with other universities so that we strengthen ourselves. So this is quite important for me to share, especially you who are graduating. The 400 qualifications that UNISA offers, all of them are accredited. Did you hear me? The 400 qualifications that UNISA offers are all accredited. So walk tall when you hold your certificate. Knowing that your credentials will not be questioned anywhere in the world, because the Commonwealth of Learning, the Department of Higher Education, the Council on Higher Education, and all associated accreditation bodies constantly engage with us to ensure that our assessment systems, including what you guys don't like, but we're not apologetic about it, but we want you to be ambassadors in promoting its importance in visually They know why they're laughing for this parents. I'll tell you the secret once we're finished. We do so because because we want, when you finish and you have the certificate, for you to know that you were assessed fairly, that you know that you did not cheat, that you know that you did not submit work that was written by somebody else, that you did not plagiarize. And therefore, these quality systems are quite important for us to publicly assess, because that's how we know who's playing naughtiness and who's doing the ethical thing. And it's very important that, therefore, as our students, you are appreciative of this. Finally, colleagues, just these highlights tell you about the investment we've made. So, in 2021, 39% of our academics had PhDs or doctoral degrees. As we speak, we are over 62%. Although 62% is a good mark when we compare the sector, we believe we can deal with the professorate all with PhD within the next 3 to 4 years. But if we can do it in 2 years, that would be what we aspire to. Why do we do so? Because universities are relevant social institutions that must necessarily change the ideas, the plight of society, the socio-political imagination of the people, even sometimes when we don't want to think about this. It is at the university where we think beyond thinking. Did you hear me? You have to think before thinking. When you say, this pen is red, you say, why red? Who decided that color is red? And then you find the answers. Or why are people poor when Africa has mineral resources, biotic resources, and human capital and youthful development? Is our curriculum helping you to sort in some of these issues? Do we want graduates who will say, we don't find jobs? Or have we created you as a graduate of UNISA who will say, if there are no jobs, I'll volunteer, I'll create work, and look whether the piece of land around my family can yield some food whilst I'm creating something new for my society and my family. So please, colleagues, these are the resources that UNISA would have enabled you to do. Finally, colleagues, I want to remind you that His Excellency President Malinga graduated from this university. He's the alumnus of this university. The Chancellor of this university, President Malinga, studied at UNISA, the alumnus of this university. President Ramaphosa, the current president of the country, is also an alumnus of this country. The same is true to the former president of Haiti, the former president of Zimbabwe, and other presidents and prime ministers of other countries. I'm not sure which university has produced 3 democratic presidents. I'm not sure. In the history where we are celebrating 30 years of liberation from apartheid, UNISA came without fear or any hesitation. Be appreciative that we produced these 3 presidents and others, and we are proud of it. Can I request you? I reminded those who attended graduation yesterday that to say, as universities, we don't just produce state leaders or statesmen and women. We also produce opposition political party leaders. To demonstrate the diversities of thinking. So if you think about His Excellency Dr. Msigu Manyana, the minister who actually wanted to pivot the innovation system of the country, where the automotive industry for the first time, South African universities created an EV car. We never allowed it to grow because we did not invest in it. Joule. How many of you know about a car that was called Jewel, produced by South African University. Can you show my hand? So it shows how sometimes when we don't take seriously the products of our universities, we sometimes derail the socio-economic development and inventive spirit that we have to invest in. So when you do research, you guys, you can even Google is there, and our research library is open, as long as it's, so that you can know about the country. It's very important for our automotive industry to think around the lost opportunities and how we can reclaim them and pivot ourselves as a country. But the CIC of the Economic Freedom Fund, Malinga, is also a graduate of UNISA. Good for you. I know it's writing good students, so I don't want to be seen to have only spoken about the governing party. The governing party, we have to speak about them. But think about also Musi Maimane, the former DA leader. He's also an alumnus of this university. So whether you speak about DA, he's now Bolsa or something, I'm not certain, but both. So whether it's DA, whether it's PFN, whether it's AZAPO, whether it's PAC, whether it's ANC, and if you go into our neighbor, into Eswatini or Namibia, SWAPO, and others, these liberation heroes were propelled by this university because of the hunger for freedom, for socio-political transformation, for economic transformation. And therefore, you graduates today, you have no reason not to aspire to being leaders in this important arena of our society, in the country, in the continent, and in the global arena. Finally, can you show me, do you have cash in your pocket for this? Or you're using digital money? Do you have your credit cards or debit cards? Can you take them out and show? No, I'm not going to ask for your money. Can you show me the rent if you have it? Yeah, so for those who want to understand, the former governor of the central bank, Jill Marcus, was produced by this university. She needs a round of applause. But you're thinking about the former, the current governor of the Reserve Bank, who has signed your record, was produced by this university. If you look in the past 7 years, 10 vice chancellors, some resigned, some sitting, were produced by this university. Dr. Rampele, the current and the new VUT vice chancellor, and many others. I also owe my training to this university. So colleagues, especially the parents, the loved ones, we want to thank you for being here, for being partners, for supporting our graduates, who have worked very hard, sometimes angry at us because we did not give them distinction, because they did not cite everybody they needed to cite, or because they forgot to put the footnote that was necessary. Welcome to the University of South Africa, the University of Leaders, the university at the center of shaping futures, which is a partner to your aspirations to build communities, countries, and the global arena where peace with justice and flourishing of all humanity is manifest. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, let me therefore request Professor Matisse, the representative of the College of Humanity. As I stated in my table of precedence, we will tonight have a conferment of an honorary degree, honoris causa. When a university confers an honorary degree, it casts its lashes wide, the world wide. It looks for citizens who have contributed to the transformation not only of our country, but of the world. We look for people who have enabled us as societies, as knowledge arenas, as everybody, to overcome the prejudices that society would have made. We look for those people who quietly or loudly change the world for the better. Professor Malinga, you have the opportunity to present our honorary doctorate. You're welcome.
Madam Vice Chancellor, I have the honor to introduce to you Nomthandazo Purity Malinga for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, honoris causa, and I request Bishop Malinga to rise. Nomthandazo Nobuhle Purity Malinga was born on 13 April 1958 in a village known as Ekabazi, Webster, in Bikopo. She is the eldest child of Siziva Jeffrey and Tenjwe Melia Malinga. The family lived on a farm, and as a child, Malinga, alongside her brother, helped with chores and farming tasks. She was raised in the Methodist Church of Southern Africa from a young age, and her family attended services at Webster Methodist Society. Her mother and grandmother were members of the Women's Manyano or Women's Auxiliary there. It was at Ndaleni that she was confirmed as a full member of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa in 1975. She returned to Ikopo in 1976 after graduating as a teacher and taught for 5 years at Siakona Primary School near St. Faith. She was actively involved in the church, and on Good Friday in 1978, she was roped as a member of the Young Women's Minority of Day Circuit. Unsettled by this call, which she did not understand at the time, she lost her passion for teaching, which caused her to resign from her post. After staying home for a year, Malinga reapplied and went back to teaching, this time at Tutuka Primary School, near Highfields. With the help of the late Reverend Raymond Kumalo, who was the superintendent of Day Circuit at the time, her call to the ministry was surged. Under the guidance of Reverend Kumalo, she became a candidate for the ministry of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa in 1981 and was accepted by the Conference of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa the same year. This was an era in which women were beginning to enter the ordained ministry of the church. She served the probation period as a minister in training in Kabokwe from 1982 to 1983. From 1984 to 1986, she studied at FETSEM, the Federal Theological Seminary of Southern Africa. FETSEM was an ecumenical seminary that prepared students primarily from Anglican, Congregationalist, Methodist, and Presbyterian churches. Black students formed the majority of the student body at FETSEM, although some colored and white students also attended. The school was also known for fostering both an ecumenical spirit among the students and an awareness of social justice issues. At the time that Malinga attended, there were only a few women students, all from the Methodist Church. After completing her studies at Princeton, she obtained a diploma in theology with a distinction in Greek. She was ordained as a minister of Word and Sacrament on 16 October 1988. Becoming the fourth woman to be ordained in the Methodist Church of Southern Africa. With the help and recommendation of Reverend Dr. T.S.N. Kokule and Reverend Dr. Kozam Gojo, who had been her teachers at Princeton, she received a scholarship to further her theological education or studies at Harvard University, USA, and she studied there from 1989 to 1992. Graduating with a Master of Divinity degree in the New Testament, specializing in hermeneutics. In 1999, she was selected as a bishop, becoming the first woman to hold this role in the Methodist Church of Southern Africa. She served as the bishop for the Natal Coastal region for 9 years, stepping down in 2002. In 2007 and 2008, she undertook a one-year program on emerging leadership with the University of Cape Town Business School and Duke University, and received a certificate in leadership. She then moved to Pretoria, where she later served for 3 years. From 2016 to 2019, as a director of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa's Education for Ministry and Mission Unit. In May 2019, Malinga was elected as the 100th presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa, a watershed moment in the history of the church. The votes were cast by conference delegates from the 12 synods of the Methodist Church of Southern Africa. On June 5, 2021, Malinga was honored by St. Stephen's College, a Methodist college in Johannesburg, with one of its many days being named the Bishop Malinga Day. Bishop Malinga has served in several circuits as a minister from 1982 till 2020 and held the position of a presiding bishop up to 2022. Madam Vice Chancellor, I now have the honor to introduce to you Nom Tandaso Purity Malinga for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy honoris causa. And I request Bishop Madam Vice Chancellor, I now have the honor to request you to confer on Nom Tandaso Purity Malinga the degree of Doctor of Philosophy honoris causa.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy honoris causa on Nom Tandaso Purity Malinga, now Dr. Malinga. Show evidence that he is Dr. Malinga, the list of representatives. Let me therefore, now that you have been conferred your Doctor of Philosophy honoris causa, or causa, Dr. Malinga, we would like to invite you to share your acceptance message. Welcome. Thank you.
The Principal and Vice Chancellor, Professor Malinga, the Council members present, the management, college representatives, administrative staff, all the UNISA professors and teachers, graduates and their families, invited guests, my family, especially my two daughters present here, my friends and my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. On this special day of celebrating and recognizing hard work by all those who are graduating this evening, I am honored to receive this great recognition, a degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Theology. I consider it a special privilege indeed to be recognized by UNISA, a globally acclaimed African university, which has for more than 150 years provided access of learning opportunities to countless people from the margins. A university that has produced successful leaders, and the principal was just going through a list just now. Leaders for this nation, South Africa, and for Africa as a continent and beyond. I must begin by thanking the people who recognized my contribution and decided to nominate me for this honor. I know now the names of the people. I just want to thank you without mentioning your names for recognizing my efforts to be obedient to my Creator. I'm truly grateful. I know it would not have happened without your initiative. And then all the committees that have endorsed that I also deserve to be given this honor by this institution. Now, as I accept this great honor, having been told that my remarks should not go beyond 10 minutes, I will try to do that. It's however hard for preachers to be short, But those who know me, they know I can be short. Allow me to start by honoring and thanking the people who made me who I am. I start with my family, the Malinga family, Ozindela, especially my mother, my son, and my grandparents. They all have passed on. I want to say that my understanding of gender equality, as well as my belief in my full humanity as a woman, was instilled in me by my mother and my grandparents. Ngiyabonga. Sponsor. Secondly, I want to thank the women and men who formed me theologically at Federal Theological Seminary and at Harvard Divinity School. The shackles of patriarchy fell off with the exposure to different biblical hermeneutics, in particular the Romanist biblical hermeneutics. I found out ways of reading and interpreting the scriptures that amplify God's and women's voices in the Bible and throughout the history. I don't have time to mention all of them, but they contributed to who I have become. Thirdly, and most importantly, I want to thank the Methodist Church of Southern Africa, my spiritual home. The home that made me and enabled my positive contribution to church and society. You see, the issue of equality of human beings is part of the Methodist heritage. It's part of the Methodist theology, and it is part of the Methodist ethos. The core doctrine of Methodism, which we learn as we become full members of this church, teaches of the two realities we all live with. That is the universality of human sinfulness and the universality of God's love and grace. Methodism knows the God who has no favorites, but God who created all and loves all, irrespective of race, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, age, etc. The God who offers full life to all and in and through Jesus Christ. Methodism stands against all forms of injustice, discrimination, and systems that disregard and marginalize some people. Believing that the church is an agent of transformation of individuals and society, this church, the Methodist Church, encourages its members to live lives that promote God's love for the world, and encourages its members to participate actively in the healing and transformation of the society. I have committed to live by these teachings and have encouraged others to do the same. And therefore, I thank the Methodist Church for contributing to making me who I have become. Now, what does this recognition mean to me? I know it means many things to other people. To me, this recognition in one sentence means patriarchy does not have the last word. Malinga as an individual, even though I have received the recognition. But I consider it a recognition of many women throughout ages, women of faith and women of no faith, women who refuse to be defined and confined by patriarchy, but lived their lives as directed by their Maker. It is a fact that male chauvinism remains entrenched in all spheres of society, including in religious spheres, if not especially in religious spheres. In almost all institutions and spaces, including religious spaces, women's contribution is undermined. Leadership is understood to be male. The leadership of women is mostly not allowed. Where it is allowed, it is not trusted, but it is tolerated for political expediency. When women lead, all efforts are made to frustrate and discredit them. However, in spite of all the efforts to deny, suppress, and undermine, in all spaces, in the words of Maya Angelou, women rise and continue to contribute to the well-being of society as led by God. I therefore dedicate this recognition to women here and women everywhere. I dedicate this recognition to young women and old women, to girls who are growing up everywhere. Rise. Let nothing and no one define your role and contribution to life. As I end my remarks, let me congratulate all the graduates. Today recognizes and affirms the hard work you have put in towards defining tomorrow. It is my humble understanding that defining tomorrow, it means that one analyzes the present. When one looks at our present times, there are so many challenges and dangers that if not attended to will destroy life as we know it. There are so many challenges to count. To count but a few: the deepening inequality in society, greed and corruption, climate change, poverty, unemployment, gender-based violence and femicide, crime, the list goes on. All these challenges, in my mind, demand collaboration and partnership between all the sectors of society. They demand unity and solidarity amongst human beings. They demand critical thinking, ethical and moral leadership by people who understand that their survival and success is linked to that of all creation. We, older generation, trust and pin our hopes in our younger generation that equipped in these institutions of higher learning, they are the ones who are going to help us face these challenges. And so, brothers, I see you and consider you as the ones we have been waiting for the good of our nation, for the good of the continent of Africa, and for the good of the whole world. I implore you, unite in your diversity, across all the divides. Imagine and reimagine a better tomorrow. Define and redefine a better tomorrow that will accept, incorporate, and include all people of God. May God help you as you seek to live the lives to which God is calling you. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm certain with that acceptance speech you understand why Dr. Malinga deserves honorary degree. The gentle leader says you must be impatient with injustice. You must analyze the context. You must ask the question, what is my purpose in life and how do I use the opportunities available to build in my society? A round of applause. Thank you for reminding us, especially the young women, that it is your responsibility to taking and claiming the leadership positions and being strong and resilient, even if you face insults, disrespect, being undermined. Allow your output to speak for you, because you'll be honored. Somebody somewhere will recognize you. To you, the young women, the message was effectively directed at you, as it was directed at me, and the 77-year-old who still wants to change the world for the better. Congratulations, Dr. Malinga. By virtue of the powers entrusted to me as the Principal and Vice Chancellor, I shall now proceed to confer the degrees and diplomas of the University of South Africa on the candidates whose names appear in the program. I request the representatives of the colleges to present the candidates.